Welcome to Transforming Suffering. Today I invite you to pause for just a few quiet moments to reflect on something deeply real, deeply human, yet so easily misunderstood. Desire, sexuality, pleasure, longing, are these things truly sinful? They are a natural part of being human, just like hunger calls for food, thirst calls for water. The body also longs for affection and closeness, but there's one truth that few dare to face. When instinct is no longer guided by awareness, it ceases to be natural. It becomes a chain. Imagine this. Moderate sexuality is like a fire in the hearth. It warms the heart and binds people in intimacy. But when that fire spills beyond its bounds, it can burn down the whole house. And today, in a world flooded with provocative images, pornography, and dating apps just a swipe away, many, especially in the West, believe more sex will bring more happiness, and yet they feel exhausted, empty after every so-called release, more alone than ever, even in the arms of attractive bodies. So what's really happening here? Why is it that the more we have, the more we feel we've lost? Why is it that the deeper we dive into pleasure, the colder our hearts grow? Let us journey into this question together. Through the profound and compassionate teachings of the Buddha about desire and the way to transform it into wisdom and freedom, there's a strange paradox in modern society. Never before have people had such freedom to love, yet never before have so many felt so lost in love. From pornography, dating apps, social media, just a single swipe opens a world of instant pleasure, and unfamiliar terms have quietly crept into the lives of millions. Sex addiction, compulsive masturbation, sexual obsession, unable to stop, chasing pleasure. Some spend hours daily consuming explicit content. Some leave one sexual encounter only to search for the next. Some can't work, can't concentrate, because their minds are consumed by desire. And after every moment of release, they feel more alone, more hollow, more guilty, less self-respect. The Buddha once said, "Because of craving, there is clinging. Because of clinging, there is suffering." When desire dominates the mind, it's no longer just instinct. It becomes a mental prison, a modern form of slavery, binding people through fleeting feelings of being loved. Worse still, many turn to sex as a way to escape loneliness, pressure, or depression. But instead of healing the soul, they're only painting over the cracks. And like any addiction, the more desire is indulged, the stronger it grows, the more it demands, the further it pulls us from our inner peace. A sex addict may end up losing their health, their job, their relationships, their reputation, and ultimately their dignity. In Buddhist teaching, this is known as sensual craving, a smoldering fire in the heart. If not recognized and tamed, it will burn away our inner peace and spiritual merit. When people hear desire, they often think of physical pleasure. But according to the Buddha, desire has many layers, from gross to subtle. And each layer, if left unchecked, leads to suffering in a different form. The first layer is physical desire, craving for the body, the urge to touch, to merge, to feel sexual gratification. It's rooted in survival instinct, but it births countless consequences. Many have ruined their health, reputation, and families in pursuit of this pleasure. Like an untamed fire, it can consume careers, and even one's conscience. But even more dangerous is the second layer, emotional desire, the longing to be loved, desired, needed. Some don't crave bodies, they crave the feeling of being wanted. They can't bear loneliness. They use sex to feel loved, to feel belonging. They don't need to touch, they need to be on someone's mind, to have someone's attention, presence, devotion, constantly. But emotional desire comes with fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of being replaced, fear of no longer being attractive, fear that the one you love will love someone else. Thus, from a loving relationship comes a cycle of control, jealousy, blame, and resentment. The Buddha called this attachment emotional clinging to another. Clinging gives birth to possession, possession gives rise to suffering. And the deepest layer is conscious desire, an invisible but potent craving that often goes unnoticed. It is the thirst to be remembered, to leave a mark in others' minds. The desire to be admired, praised, eternally loved, even after one's death. No need for physical touch, A look, a mention, a post online is enough to spark satisfaction, and enough to chain the heart. Here lies the danger. A person may no longer crave sex, no longer pursue relationships, yet deep within, they hold on to an ideal image of themselves, a version of me that is lovable, respectable, desirable, and that very image becomes the most subtle form of bondage, whether it's bodily, emotional, or conscious desire. If left unchecked, they all lead to one result: the loss of inner freedom. A person may think they're in love, living fully, but in truth, they're simply being led by instinct, longing, and fear. In the next part, we'll explore each layer of desire in real life, through practical examples, real stories, and the way the Buddha taught his disciples to overcome them, not by suppression, but by mindfulness and wisdom. From physical craving to emptiness. I once met an American man, successful, with a stable family and career. He said, "Every night I watch porn, not because I lack a wife, but because I feel empty." At first it was just a habit, but slowly it became addiction. After every release, he felt lost, drained, ashamed of himself. He once thought sex was a stress reliever, but it became the very cause of his stress. He grew distant from his wife, unfocused at work, and felt he had lost control. Sex, without mindfulness, can numb both the heart and the mind, from emotional desire to depression. A young woman once shared she couldn't bear the feeling of being left. Just a few hours without a message from her partner, and her heart spiraled into panic. She became suspicious, anxious, imagining the worst. She didn't love to make him happy. She needed love to fill her loneliness. Her love wasn't wrong, but it wasn't love. It was clinging, not connection, but demand, from conscious desire to fame addiction. Some people have no interest in sex, no relationship desires, yet they thirst for recognition, to be remembered, to feel important in the eyes of others. Even after death, they hope to leave a name no one forgets. What seems like self-love is often just fear of being forgotten, and an ego still shackled by the idea of who I am. So how does Buddhism teach us to overcome this? Not by repression, not by avoidance, but through mindfulness and meditative insight. Mindfulness means recognizing desire as soon as it arises, seeing it but not following it, knowing it but not being carried away. Like one standing by the riverbank, watching the stream but not jumping in. Meditative wisdom means seeing deeply. This body is impermanent. This feeling won't last. Pleasure is but a wisp of smoke, beautiful yet fleeting. And when we see this impermanence, we cling less. We learn to love without possession, to be close without dependence, to honor without control. The Buddha never condemned love or desire. He simply taught us to see clearly and transform it into compassion, clarity, and freedom. In the final part, we'll listen to practical teachings from the Buddha and meditation masters to realize desire isn't our enemy, but if we don't understand it, it will lead us away from who we truly are. The Buddha once said, "It is not desire that burns us, but the ignorance of not seeing desire clearly." You don't need to become a monk to awaken. You don't need to live like a stone statue to be pure. He taught us only one thing: live with awareness. Instead of running away, learn to look directly at desire. And you'll see, it's not a monster, it's just a breeze. When the mind is weak, it sweeps us away. When the mind is strong, it becomes warmth of creativity, love, and wisdom. The Buddha taught 3 ways to transform desire. First, mindfulness. Whenever desire arises, simply acknowledge, this is a feeling of craving. By naming it, you weaken it. Second, contemplation of the impure nature of the body. If you're drawn to someone's appearance, pause, close your eyes, and look deeply into their body. Not the smooth skin, not the lips, not the eyes, not the curves, but what's inside. This body, no matter how beautiful, is a bag of skin containing blood, pus, phlegm, feces, urine, sweat, and mucus. Every day, it must be cleaned, masked, and deodorized. A slight fever, and the skin wrinkles, lips dry, breath turns sour. A few days without bathing, and others step away. The Buddha once taught, Contemplate this body as a skin bag holding 32 impure elements made of earth, water, fire, and wind, born to decay from the moment of birth. Even the person you're craving, if injured and oozing pus and blood, would you still embrace them in desire? To see this is not to hate the body, but to let go of the illusion that it is something sacred, noble, or worth possessing at any cost. Then you no longer crave, but begin to respect, not because the body is sexy, but because it is fragile, impermanent, and worthy of mindful care. Third, contemplation of impermanence. Even the strongest pleasure will fade, and if we keep chasing what disappears, we will always be lost in the flow of life. A meditation master once said, "If you are awake enough to notice desire rising, then at that very moment, you are already above it." Desire doesn't need to be destroyed. It only needs to be seen with the light of wisdom, and where there is wisdom, there is compassion. Where compassion arises, desire becomes connection, not captivity. You can still love, but love with mindfulness, love without needing to possess, be close without clinging. And happiness no longer comes from pleasure alone, but from awareness blooming in each moment of the present. And finally, if you've ever drowned in desire, if you felt empty, tired, or hurt by love, know this: you are not broken. You are just lost. And the way back begins with a truthful look within. Thank you for listening this far. If these words touched you, even a little, please share this message to awaken others. See you again in future teachings from the heart of transforming suffering. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.